Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. We'd like to thank our platinum sponsor, Matter Behavioral Health in Mount Pleasant, Utah. Matter Behavioral Health, substance abuse program, individualized treatment focus, providing real hope, lasting results, and being a part of their family for life. Matt, I'm like a lucky guy today because I am just surrounded by so many beautiful women that it's good my wife is not a jealous lady. I mean, seriously, it really is. It's good that she trusts me. We have Janessa and Chanel joining us today in the studio. Ladies, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. It's
great.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And today's going to be a little different, this episode today. It's not really much about addiction, but when I met Anna through my good friend Laban Ditchburn, who you definitely got to look up his book. Oh my gosh, don't tell me because I know it. Oh, Betting on You. Yeah. I just had to bring my brain back. But yeah, Betting on You, that's a phenomenal book, and it tells Laban's story of what he's gone through. But when I had the honor to meet Anna here, she was sharing a little bit about her story, and I knew just a teeny bit from what Laban shared, but I asked her one day when we were doing a Zoom call, we were just talking one night, Laban and I was going over some stuff, and he was giving me some of his knowledge and skills that he's picked up. Anna started sharing it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, would you give us the honor to be on our show, please? This gal has overcome so much in her life that I think for probably a pretty good percentage of people, I mean, even just women, would really have a tough time getting through. And what I also love about Anna is she's taking what she's learned and what's happened in her life, and she is now helping other people. What is it that I have to apologize because I have all this stuff down, but you are the world's best
life optimization coach.
Life optimization coach. And I think that is so flippin' cool because
that's awesome.
I've never heard of a life optimization coach, right? So, Anna, again, thank you so much for being here with us. Tell our listeners just a little bit more about yourself, if you would, please.
Hi, Al. Hi, ladies. This is an absolute honor to be on your podcast, and you're doing an amazing job, just sharing your stories and your experience with the world. And this is the best time to look at all those addictions, at all those childhood experiences that hold us back in our life. Mm-hmm. And talking about myself, I'm the world's best life optimization coach. And I'm calling myself the world's best, not because of my ego, but because I've made this commitment to myself to be the world's best and to be the world's best what I provide for my clients. And every morning I wake up and I ask myself, how would the world's best life optimization conduct herself? So
that's so cool.
This is what I
love
do.
It.
And what got you into this? I mean, I know a little bit, but our listeners don't. What got you to move in this direction? Because, I mean, I know your childhood life wasn't easy.
Thank you so much for asking me this question, Al. I will start from the story. In September 2020, I went back to my motherland of Russia to testify against my perpetrator, against my stepfather, who systematically raped me for 6 years.
Oh my gosh.
Which resulted in 2 forced abortions. And 1 abortion damaged my reproductive system. And I had 15 consecutive miscarriages altogether.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Including 2 ectopic pregnancies. And one of them nearly claimed my life in
those
2019.
Are so dangerous.
it's dangerous, and it's so bloody. Can I swear?
Yeah, yeah. We have people slip and do that.
I think you have a right to.
You
So yeah.
you swear and I'll
So-
go bleep.
And it was so fucking painful.
Yeah.
And when I was in Russia, I went through horrible physical, mental interviews and examinations. And I had to tell the police what was happening for 6 years. It's all the details, all the positions, places, times, like everything, all the dirty clothes. It wasn't pleasant at all. And believe me, the police is not the best place to handle this, because what I saw, it was judgment. It was a lot of judgment. Like, why didn't you tell it before? So what's the point of you telling it right now? Anyway, we will come back to this. And going through this process, I started to do my little digging, whether we have any childhood sexual abuse survivors support in Sakhalin, the island where I'm from. And can you believe there was none?
Wow.
Nothing at all. And the closest helpline was in Moscow, and it's like 9,000 kilometers away.
Wow.
Not sure how many miles. And then I called this helpline and I said, do you have any support groups or anything for kids who are going through this experience? They said, unfortunately, we don't. And then I thought, what can I do? And then I called the biggest magazine in my town, and I told them my story, and I said, would you be interested to publish it? And I sat down for 2 hours with a journalist, and I told him what was going on in my childhood. He was crying. He was crying. And when the article got published, it went ridiculously crazy. I had 25,000 comments on this article within a couple of days.
Wow.
We don't even have so many people on the island.
That's amazing.
And then in my article I said, if you don't have a place to go, if you don't have a safe place to talk about it, send me an email. And I received hundreds of emails. But one email struck me the most. There was a woman in her late 40s. She had she had a similar experience when she got pregnant from her stepfather at age 16. But at those point, abortions were illegal. She couldn't do this. And so she had to leave the house because she was so terrified and so ashamed for being pregnant, for being raped by her stepfather, that her and a baby lived sometimes with her friends, sometimes on the street, sometimes under the bridge. And I thought, wow, how many of us still out there who never ever told their stories? And I just decided that's what I want to do. That's I want to help people. I want to help other women to free themselves from this tyranny of shame and pain and guilt.
Wow.
And now it's been the greatest blessing, because my 20 years journey of suffering in silence, I've learned a lot, and I can share all my experience and all my knowledge now with my clients.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that, especially whenever you share your story. I know that provides validation a lot for women, and a lot of times permission maybe to speak up about maybe some experiences that they've buried. And yeah, it's a very, very large thing. So
You know, Chanel, what I've learned through the whole my experience, sexual abuse is the only abuse we're not allowed to talk about
So true.
because it's so shameful. And what's happening? Children, women, they're not welcome to the society with their stories. What I've experienced, every time at the beginning, especially when I would tell my story, people would go, "Oh wow, oh, this is too much for me," and I would shut down. And then, excuse me, I'm not fucking apologizing for my story.
Exactly.
That's what's happening in the shadow. That's what's happening behind the closed doors. And because people are so afraid to look at these stories, at these situations, because it's horrible, it's hard, it's painful to listen to it.
Yeah.
The victims don't talk about it.
No.
They can't, because the response can be really, really bad and can traumatize you even more.
Yeah.
With my article, I've received not many, but still some crazy responses, like, "This is your fault."
My gosh.
It is a very terrible thing. And also, it happened to you in your own home by your stepfather. And I know it also happens by fathers, by brothers, by uncles, cousins, and
mothers.
And women carry this way far too much and bury it sometimes for the rest of their lives, and causes a lot of pain, and then it carries on and gets worse and worse. So
yeah, so I had some sexual abuse from boyfriends and from cousins and stuff like that, but it happens also to men. I mean, my husband was sexually abused by an ex-uncle for, probably 6 years as well. And I know it's not as common, and maybe it is, it's just
don't know about it.
They just don't say anything about it. But my husband actually couldn't remember any of it. He could remember before and after, but everything else he couldn't remember. So he's like, "What's wrong with me?" And he struggled with addiction, and it was awful. And I remember when we were going through therapy and a specific, it's called EMDR, and he started remembering things, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I was sexually abused." And he was putting all the puzzle pieces together, and all of his symptoms, everything made sense. And it is so heartbreaking. I know it happens to women so much, but like my husband, as a little boy up until he was a teenager, it happened all the time. And it looks different, I feel like, to different people, but and in men and in women, but it all has that same effect, consequences. It's crazy how much it affects long term. Even after you've done an immense amount of healing, he still has consequences from it. That is just heartbreaking. It's crazy.
The thing that really gets my blood boiling, and Anna said it, where they put the blame on the individual. And it makes me wonder what the hell is going on with that person's head to even say that, And then also the person who is doing this sexual abuse, how they put that guilt in that other person, making them also feel like it's their fault.
Yeah.
And, and also scaring the living shit out of them. If you tell somebody this is what's going to happen. And as a young individual, whether you're male or female, you have a hard time comprehending all that stuff. Is something going to happen to my parents? Or if it's one of your parents, is something going to happen to one of my other siblings? I mean, you have no way of meshing those gears together to know what to do. And like you even said, Anna, with the cops saying, "Well, why are you telling us now? Why haven't come on, what the hell's your problem?" Again, they were pushing it on you. Well, I tell you what, put one of them in a cage with somebody that does that and let them get sexually abused and see how well they're going to go out and start telling people.
Yeah.
Exactly. And unfortunately, very often it happens when we forget about our sexual abuse. And it's normal. It's our protection mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, I was aware what was happening to me, but I couldn't remember any details before I started my own healing, my own journey. I remember physical and mental and emotional abuse, but it's something really fascinating happens in our head when we just I don't know, bottle down or just wiped out all the memories of the traumatic experience. And your boyfriend did a really wonderful job by going through this, because the only way to heal yourself is to start telling your story, is to start facing it. This is the only way to set you free.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I'll just commenting on your comment. It's yes, the policeman just couldn't understand me, why I was holding this for 20 years and what do I want now. It just, the whole society doesn't understand the whole problem. The whole society is not aware how bloody hard to go and tell it to someone. Mm-hmm. The only person I told when it just happened was my friend, my school friend. She was also 15. And when I told her, she was terrified. She couldn't tell to anyone because it was so scary. And so our secret stayed with us for 20 years. And a good thing, when the whole investigation started, she came to help me. She came to testify against my stepfather too. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's so
I
cool.
bet. To have support behind you.
Oh yes. And actually I had another friend who also admitted to me that my stepfather was showing some indefinite signals towards her when we were 17. Because what my stepfather was doing, he was asking me to bring my girlfriends of my age of 16, 17, together in the bed. I was
my
like,
gosh.
Wow. So he was
do I
trying.
look like
He was
I'm
trying to.
crazy?
He was trying to be like a Jeffrey Epstein, then, huh?
Probably. It's crazy. It's fucked up.
Yes,
Yeah.
so
It is
much.
fucked up.
It is.
My gosh. So, how long did this go on before you even opened up to your mother about what was going on? Because apparently she didn't know what was happening.
Do you really
She
believe
didn't.
that?
I'll tell you the story. The abuse happened when I was 15, when I just turned 15, for 6 years. So it took me literally 20 years to finally open up. It was 2 years ago. I met my fiance, Laban, and as Elle said, he wrote a book about his life. He was telling all his stories, and I felt comfortable. I felt safe to tell him what was happening to me. We were losing our babies. No physical reasons for it. And then when I told him, it was the greatest blessing for me. It shocked him. Oh,
I bet.
But you know what? Everything just went on its place. He finally was able to figure out why my behaviors are a bit funny. at some point, why I wasn't secure, why I was constantly seeking validations, why I was so quiet. And then he told me, Anna, that's maybe the reason why you're losing our babies. And so he helped me to get on this path of healing. And it took me 2 years, ladies. I started in 2019. I did everything possible. I did psychologists, psychiatrists, psyche specialists, NLP specialists, hypnotherapy, shamans, everything. It helped me a lot. And then I was going back home from my hypnotherapy session, and I was boiling my eyes because I just thought maybe my mom was sexually abused. You know how often it happens. Maybe, and I tell you why. Maybe something happened to her in her past, because what was happening in our family, she was so codependent on my stepfather. She put him on pedestal. She let him to do anything to me and my brother, and it was horrendous physical abuse. And I'm happy to share this story as well. And so I felt so compelled to ask her whether there is something happened to her. And I called her. I remember sitting in the car crying, and she answered the phone, and it was video call. And I said, Mom, I want to ask you something, but I want you to tell me the truth, please. Have you been sexually abused? She said, yes. I said, was it during your childhood? She said, no, it was when I was 27. Why? Why are you asking? Why are you crying, Anna? And I said, I'm just going back from my hypnotherapy, and Mom, I just wanted to tell you how much I love you and I forgave you. She said, for what, Anna? What have I done? Please tell me. And then I've tried to tell her a few times, and then I just thought, if I won't tell her now, forget it. And I said, Mom, remember I told you that I was sexually abused at 15? She said, yes, I remember. I said, it was Yura, my stepfather. She was shocked. She was shocked. However, she said, honey, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I knew that was happening. And I said, Mom, why didn't you do anything? She said, I just couldn't bear a thought of him doing this to you. I just couldn't even look at this situation. And now, even my mother, a person who biologically designed to kill for her child, if anything have happened, looked away. What are we gonna say about other people?
Yeah.
And she was so apologetic. And that's how everything started. She said, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. We became a mama bear. Yeah. She said, Anna, even if the whole world will against you, I will always stay by your side. Wow. And she immediately went to the police and she pressed the charges against him.
Wow.
And that's how, I was pulled into Russia. But you know what? I felt so much better. I know not many people would have this experience of telling their mom or their parents or people who they love what was happening to them, because there can be a different response.
Oh yeah.
But I was ready. I was ready for any response. whatever she would tell me, I would take it, because you know what? It's not fair for me to keep this burden, to carry this burden around. It was killing me from inside. And she became a mama bear. She went to his workplace. She saw him when he was driving his car, and she just jumped on the car, and she was yelling like in the whole street, "You motherfucker, pedophile! How dare you, like, touching my daughter?" It was just crazy.
Wow.
And I got my mom back. I got my mom back.
Wow.
Because until now, she wanted to go back with him. She was grieving, because when I left the house at 21, he threw us on the street, telling me, "If you live in the house, I don't need your mother."
Wow. Did you have something, Chanel?
I was just going to say that's very healing for you, to see your mom protect you and go into mother bear mode. And that's probably a very important part of your journey to heal. And I also like that you pointed out that sometimes that's not always the case, and sometimes people can't use their voice. But I do want to point out that even if that is the case, I feel like there's still healing. We can still find... I feel like there's lots of coaches and programs and things out there where, at least in my journey, where I've been able to find the healing that I need, and to actually go through EMDR and processes where to work out the anger in other ways that needs to happen. And it's a moving of energy. I've learned, like, releasing stuff that's happened. So yeah, love that.
Finding people to kind of replace that. Like, if your parents don't respond well, like, my husband's instance, it did not go that way. It was totally different. But there's people that step in and can fulfill that. I mean, I don't think it's ever the same as, like, a parent. Like,
Yeah.
but people can fill that, and they do. They show up, and it's the most unlikely people, but they do, and they fill that gap. And you can find healing from so many sources. It doesn't have to be just, oh, they won't reconcile, or, my parents or my siblings, oh, I'm screwed, I can't find healing. No, you can. There's so many people that can do that as well. But there is a power to the parents doing that.
Oh, yeah. Big time, because, I mean, I think that's a lot of the reason to why we are so afraid to reach out to our parents, of the reaction that we're going to get. I mean, you see it for those who, are gay. They hold this stuff in so long, and then they finally decide to open up to their parents, and you have those that are very accepting, and then you have those that, we don't want anything to do with you anymore.
Disown you.
Yeah, they just disown you. And that fear, I mean, I can't even imagine, Anna, the fear that you must have had that day that you called your mom on a video chat. I mean, to where you could see the face. It's one thing talking to somebody on the phone, and I think that's another reason why so many people, like,
texting.
Now I hear people break up through text, I mean, the fear that you must have felt, and hoping deep in your heart, in your soul, that you were going to get the right reaction, which I'm so happy that you did. That she came out and said, "Yeah, oh yeah, you're messing around with my daughter. Watch out,
Jump on
man."
his car.
Yeah, watch the claws come out. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Well, my biggest fear, it wasn't just to tell her. When the first sexual abuse happened, my stepfather told me that if you have ever tell your mother what was happening, I will destroy your family. And then he was inserting this shame into me. Every time I would tell him, "Don't touch me, I'm gonna tell my mom," he would say, "Your mother not gonna believe you. Your mother gonna hate you because you're breaking her woman's happiness." And so for me, the biggest fear is to break her heart, is to break her happiness. I know it sounds crazy, but what was happening when I was 4 years old. My biological father left and never returned back. So my mom was now a 24 years old single mom of 2. I have my younger brother, and he was 9 months old.
Oh my goodness.
And I had to grow up very fast to look after my brother and to be strong for my mom. And I was so sensitive, so in tune with her happiness, because I remember her crying for years and years and years. And so when my stepfather came, I was so happy. Finally, she's not alone. And I thought, finally, she will be happy. She will be happy. She stopped crying because she was in a huge depression. And that was my biggest responsibility, to make her happy. And when the first time I realized that this is not the man who is gonna protect us or support us, when my younger brother, 6 years old brother, did something wrong, and my stepfather, a military man, grabbed his belt, his leather belt, grabbed my brother, dragged him to another bedroom, closed the door behind him, and I could just hear a scream and yell of my little brother and begging for help. Mommy, please help. And I saw my mom so afraid, going in and stepping and protecting my brother. And she just grabbed me so strong, and she covered my ears so I can't hear, like my brother was begging for help. And then I realized, this is not normal relationship. That's not. So after this, it took my brother a week to recover.
Oh my gosh.
And when my stepfather would do this again and again and again, she wouldn't step in. And then I didn't have a hope. And when it happened to me, guess what? I had to be strong.
Gosh, that is so much to ask for from such a young lady. And even with your brother, sometimes this stuff just gets my blood boiling. Because every kid deserves to grow up to be a kid. And I mean, I was spanked and I was beat, and stuff, and I started doing that with my kids when I had my first daughter. And I remember one time when my daughter was 2, I can't remember what she did, and I spanked her butt, and she's crying, and she turned around and she looked at me, and she gave me this look, and it broke my frickin' heart. I mean, I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, she gave me that look like, I cannot believe you just did that to me, at 2 years old. And I swore that I would never spank my kids ever again, and I didn't. I was able to sit down and talk to them, or, you kind of gave them that daddy look where you raised your voice just a little bit and gave them that look, and they knew right away, but, and I did it because that's how I was brought up. And your stepdad was probably brought up that same way. He was doing what all he knew, and I'm not making an excuse for him by all means, because hell no. But yeah, and it goes to show, we hear things here in the United States of this stuff happening.
Could
and
be
I
happening
think,
in our backyard.
Yeah, could be happening in our backyard, our neighbors, but also I think a lot of people are blind that it's just here. It's happening all around the world.
There's a statistic in the book, The Body Knows, and it says for every soldier that's sent out to war, there's 10 children who are in danger in their own home. And I found that incredible, and it's very, very true.
Wow.
It's sad, but true. Even here in the United States. So, yeah.
And you telling that, like, I don't know, it just breaks your heart. Like, I have a 7-year-old, and the thought of that happening, like,
yeah,
it just absolutely breaks your heart, but you know there's kids all around going through that. And it's just, like so much emotions. Like I can't even imagine listening to that, and not being able to do anything about it. Or choosing not to, you're too scared. So
I was watching a podcast a couple days ago, and it's a well-known person here in Salt Lake. If I said his name, and I don't want to say his name because it's not my place to, and I'm working on hopefully getting him on the show. But he was sharing the abuse that he went through with his real dad. Has this big scar on his head from his dad hitting him over the head. I think it was with 2x4.
Oh my gosh.
And then he battles with depression, and it's from these scars that has happened to him at a young age. But as the podcast got going, he started tearing up, and he goes, I'm going to share something else too that a lot of people don't know, but I was also sexually abused by my scoutmaster.
Oh my gosh.
And I met a gal at Sober Day last September who is working with the FBI here in Utah, women who have been kidnapped and exploited, and they're being used for sex and sold for sex. And I was talking to her, and she goes, Al, we've got to get the word out, and more people got to come out and talk about this, because she goes, you will not believe the clients of these women. They are news people. They're people high in the church.
Yep.
There's CEO. I mean, she goes, it is a widespread. It's just not your husband who's not getting any sex at home, or the wife. It's widespread. And I was just literally shocked. And that's one of her goals, is to make sure that it gets out there. It's enough of keeping this shit hidden. You know, it's time. And there are people, like what you said when your brother was getting beat, Anna, how your mom covered your ears. There's so many people out there that want to cover their ears because they don't want to know about it. And by hell, it's time they frickin' do know about it. And this goes with the sexual abuse. This goes with addiction. There's so many different things. It's time society starts opening their eyes and people start going, enough of this. Enough. Because there are so many kids out there that what they're going through in life, it's not fair. I mean, I used to come home from school and raid the refrigerator and then go out and do my chores, and then, it was happy hour. It was you going out and play and do whatever the hell you want. I didn't have to worry about sexual abuse, or I got my ass kicked if I didn't do my chores, but there's so many kids out there who don't have food. There's so many kids that, like you, Anna, at such a young age, stepping up to be the parent as well. When your mom was going through her hard times, I've been in a committee before where these kids put in for scholarships at two of the high schools in West Jordan where I grew up at. And I was reading some of these letters, and I was doing everything I could to hide my tears of what I was reading from 15, 16, 17-year-old boys and girls. And I finally looked up around the room, and everybody in the room, there was like 30 of us, and we had split up 15 each side. All of us were crying. And I'm thinking, the hell is wrong with society nowadays that these kids, there's kids that are taking care of their siblings. They have to be adults. There are kids who have been sexually abused like yourself, and they know there's a better life out there, and they're just trying to find any way they can to get out of it. It's just tears me up.
And also, along with that, little kids as well, like if you're little enough, even, 10, you don't know what's going on. A lot of times it'll happen when you're 4 or really, really young. You have no idea what this is. Yeah. You know it's wrong. It feels bad. It feels horrible. But I noticed you said that you didn't remember the actual acts, and I think that's often because we separate from what's going on because we know it feels bad, and it's kind of like we leave our body in a sense. I don't know, but like you cannot comprehend what is happening, so you just want to displace yourself from it, disassociate, and pretend like it's not happening, and then go on with life. And you're expected to just function and be normal and look like everything's okay when it's really, really not. So going on with that.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to take this time right now. We've already been going a little over a half hour to stop for a quick commercial break. And I know there's more that you can share. So when we come back, will you share more of your journey? I know that just recently you've even started a trauma podcast, which I think is incredible. But yeah, just to stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Have you ever been in a car accident? Do you know what to do after being in a car accident? Are the insurance companies going to take care of you? Hi, I'm attorney Rick Heaton with the Law Office of Bobby Udall. I will help you through the process and answer all of these questions. I give every single client my cell phone so they can talk to me whenever they need. Let me deal with the insurance company so you can focus on getting better from your injuries. Call me at 385-330-0226. Again, my cell phone number, 385-330-0226. Don't call the insurance company first. Call attorney Rick Heaton at 385-330-0226.
This is Gregory, owner of Lift Up Concrete, proudly serving the Wasatch Front for the last 12 years, lifting sunken flatwork for both residential and commercial applications. Only fully trained professionals lifting concrete at your residence with the same quality of material and method used at every commercial job we ever do. Don't replace it, lift it. liftupconcrete.net, 801-792-4535. Contact us at liftupconcrete.net, or if you're looking for a complimentary quote, 801-792-4535. Again, 801-792-4535. Again, this is Gregory, Lift Up Concrete Lifting.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the second half of The Other Side of Addiction. Again, we want to say thank you to our platinum sponsor, Matter Behavioral Health in Mount Pleasant, Utah. Thank you guys for all your love and support. Thank you to my two beautiful co-hosts that are here today with us. Thank you again for taking time out of your day to be here. And to our beautiful and wonderful Anna, thank you so much for being here. She is the world's best life optimization coach, and she deserves that title.
Yes.
Yeah, she definitely deserves that title. So, Anna, right after we stopped for break, you made a comment, buckle up. So, guys, buckle up, because there's more she has to share.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How much time do we have? I just wanted to add, Elle, the trauma doesn't stop on the actual abuse. It goes with you a long way. And the most traumatic experience is the realization that you can't talk about this, that you feel pain, but you don't have tools or knowledge how to deal with that. Because when I turned 21 and I finally left the house, I thought, finally I'm free. Nope. You literally take everything with you, and all the words that my stepfather was telling me, I brought with me. And the words were like, no one gonna love you, no one gonna want you, you only good for sex, you know, worthy. I know it's so many people just have this in their life, but this is the most damaging part, because that's where all our addictions start to come. Imagine, I truly believe that I was only good for sex.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and when I started to live by myself, I finally find a job. Sometimes I would drink with my girlfriend until 7 a.m., then have a shower, go to work, and come back. I don't know how I could do this. I wasn't a big drinker. I was smoking. I haven't tried any drug apart of marijuana. But I remember just trying to escape. And then I was also sex addicted. I was, please, Laban, don't listen to this podcast.
Oh.
I was seeking validations from men. Really, really. For me, it was the most important to please them, like I was pleasing my stepfather. Because I knew if I wouldn't please, something terrible would come up. And it was with my stepfather. Every time I would tell him no, or start fighting back, or, leave the house, I knew he would go after my brother and after my mom. So for me, pleasing through sex was a protection mechanism.
Wow.
I had a lot of men in my life, and I couldn't stay in one relationship. I couldn't maintain. Was no way. I was always seeking validation outside. And I thought, fuck, something wrong with me. Why I just can't stay loyal? Why I just can't love one person? And only now I realized that was the trauma. That was what was happening. And I have a great news. In March 15, it will be 2 years I haven't been drinking.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
It was one of the best experiences in my life. I stopped smoking, and I didn't have any heavy drugs. But I want to talk about some addictions that people don't even realize they are so addictive. Firstly, I was a workaholic. Probably if I wouldn't work for 11 hours a day, I would drink. It was ridiculous. I found myself not being able to say no to people, taking too much stuff on my plate, fearful of asking for help, terrified. And I would have so much anxiety waking up in the morning and thinking, fuck, what if I miss some email or a phone call, or I need to do this, and this. My personal life was in the rubbish, honestly. Until 2 years ago, when I started to realize, hey, that's not how I supposed to operate. I was so tired. I was so burnt out and I was so destroyed. Even if outside I looked like I have it all together, but inside I was breaking apart. And my stress level was probably 8, 9.
Yeah.
And then I got another addiction from my stepfather. It would be funny if it wouldn't be so bad, seriously. He was a military man and he loved cleaning. Not cleaning, but he loved when everything is spotless. Every time I would come from work, I would spend from 4 to 6 hours cleaning the apartment. Because everything has to be like on its spot. Because when he would come from work, he would check it out and he would take his finger and go in the corners. And God forbidden, he would find anything in there. I would be grabbed by my neck or by my hair and just pull the face in this corner. And so I was trying to make him happy, pleased. And when I started to live by myself, I was a cleaning freak. But when I started to live with Laban, he's a messy guy. He's a messy guy. When he cooks, everything around is like so messy.
Him and Janan would get along just fine because I'm usually picking up after Janan when she cooks too.
Yeah. And I couldn't really relax. And he would make a beautiful, delicious dinner for us. And I would just looking at this and telling how fucking big he was, how dirty he was. Imagine, and it was my stepfather's behavior. And I would hate him for it. And just slowly destroying our life. Like literally he would go to bathroom in the middle of the night and I would make his bed.
Oh my goodness.
Make it nice and straight. It's crazy, but that's what we were conditioned for. It was so perfectly, it was so spotless. And even when we have our guests in our house, I would start cleaning 2 days before, like making sure that everything is spotless. And then when guests would come to our place, I wouldn't be able to enjoy the time. Never. I would just run around making sure that the bathroom is clean, the glass plates are clean, picking up all the rubbish around, like people, serviettes and all this stuff, washing the dishes. Never ever would I sit down and enjoy. Wow. And I was like, now I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Enough.
And I think we get that way with kids too, because my mom ingrained in me to be clean, and I like things a particular way. I mean, I'm not bad like sleeping with the enemy, thank goodness. But when my daughters were little, of course, they're learning how to walk, and I had a glass coffee table, and they're touching it, and I'm always over there spraying it and cleaning it off, and probably not to the extent that you were just saying, Anna, but once I had grandkids, and they'd come over and they're putting a cookie or a graham cracker and then put all that crap all over the coffee table and all that. And even my wife, Janan, she would say, "You're not cleaning that?" I'm like, "Nah, I'll just get it afterwards," because it's like, so what? Because you got so tired of being that way, that you finally learned. And I think, I just think we all get that way as time goes. You
have to, you'll go crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you get things so ingrained. And one thing, Anna, that I find very interesting is being sexually abused and being abused by your father by the cleanliness. And I don't use this word. This is a word that I don't use in my vocabulary because it's such a negative word. But you hate what is going on in your life and how you're being treated, but then you turn around and you do exactly the same thing that was happening to you. Because in all the relationships my wife went through, bad relationships, physically abused, verbally abused, she was sexually abused too. That came out in one of her therapy sessions when she was in a rehab. She did everything she could to sabotage our relationship. Because she's like, I'm a piece of shit anyway, because that's what I've been told. So he's going to leave me anyway, so I might as well help him out the door. And she did everything she could to push me out of her life. And it's crazy how our brains work that way, isn't it?
Because that's the way we learn. That's the only story we have in our head. I didn't know difference. I was having anxiety attacks when my father would come from work. I knew if he wouldn't be happy, or I will be punished if no one is at home, or my brother will be punished just because he's not happy. And I remember every time I hear he's coming, here we go, my level of anxiety goes from like 3 to 9. And then you're trying to please someone to protect your family. And exactly the same, I've noticed myself doing exactly the same to my partner. And I got a dog when I was 22, small Pomeranian, beautiful doggy. He looked like a small cloud, so pretty. But now I'm realizing I got myself a victim, that I can throw all this rage and all this pain, and be dominant like my stepfather was dominant with us. I don't know what is it, but yes, there is a pattern. You literally repeat the way how you've grown up with others, and that's a dangerous part if you're not going through your healing process. And I was beating a shit out of my poor doggy, honestly.
Wow.
I was so strict. I was so disciplinarian with him. It's hard for me to talk about it right now, but that's how I found myself.
Wow.
And you're 100% right. That's why it's so important to talk about these issues, to bring it out, to tell people, hey, that's not the way.
Yeah. And a lot of times I know we don't know better. My dad was really strict on me. And when Janana and I moved in with one another, I had 2 daughters. They had grown up, Janana and I get together, and she has a daughter and a son, and her son, I think, was 7 or 8 at the time. And I started treating him the same way my dad started treating me. And I would tell him how lazy he was and how he did this wrong. And I was, wanting to teach the kid how to, change an inner tube or fix a hole in his inner tube on his bike and things like that, because he didn't know how, And I used to tell him all the time, well, what's going to happen when you get older and you meet a woman and she needs you to find out why the dishwasher isn't working? What are you going to do? And he'd be like, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You're supposed to be the man of the house, and you're supposed to be the tough guy. And I remember going downstairs one time, and I asked him to do something, and he didn't do it. And I went down forcefully, raised my voice. Why the hell didn't you do what I asked you to do? And he goes, because I'm lazy. Mm-hmm. And it literally smacked me in the face. I'm like, I have just conditioned this kid, telling him he's lazy so many times, he's now just accepted that he's lazy. And my dad used to say I used to do everything half-ass. You never can do anything to the way you're supposed to do it. I would do everything I frickin' could to make sure it was done the way it was supposed to be done. And a lot of times it was still half-assed. I spent all the way up till I was in my 50s doing my best to please my dad and hopefully to get his support, and really never got it, until I finally started standing up for myself, which ended up being one of the reasons why we didn't talk for 5+ years, and now I've lost him. He's passed away, and we lost all that time, but yeah, I think people need to start opening their eyes. And again, I'm not blaming parents, because they're just doing the best that they can with what they were brought up. No one gave us a frickin' manual on how to be a parent. They don't teach that shit in school. You go through parenting type things, but it's not really the necessities that you need to learn how to be a parent. We go off of the molds that our parents ingrained in us. But I tell you what, we all need to open our eyes and start seeing what's going on and how we're treating our kids. And there's definitely a better way, and I'm not saying, I'm saying, there's times I definitely deserve to get a smack on the ass. I deserved a spanking. But to be beaten, that's a whole different thing. And then we grow up and have kids, and we turn around, and you said it earlier, Chanel, it just keeps going in that circle. We grow up and beat our kids, and then they grow up and they beat their kids, and then it's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah. When you're done, you go.
No, but I think the fascinating part about it is there is healing, and like even us talking about it in podcasts and coaching programs and being able to reach people across the world. Really, I feel like any listener can know that you can change. Like, you can change your family history, forever back. And something that has driven me personally is my daughter. And for her is why I work my ass off to change, all sorts of stuff that I knew I did not want to carry forward for her specifically. And I think that our kids, and anytime, I don't know, just for them to have a better generation and things moving forward.
I actually found this quote yesterday, and I feel like it goes perfect with this. When I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so powerful. But it says, too many people spend their lives being dutiful descendants instead of good ancestors. The responsibility of each generation is not to please their predecessors, it's to improve things for their offspring. It's more important to make your children proud than your parents proud.
Oh, so true.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Love that.
That is amazing.
I thought that was so good. But
And
Truth right there.
And Anna, I know, I have put you and Laban in my prayers. I still believe truly in my heart that you will be successful, in a pregnancy. And I say this with certainty so much because you are the change, and I'm getting emotional talking about it because you are the change. You're going to make that change. Like Chanel was just saying with her daughter, it's that change is going to come, and it starts with you. And I really do believe God blesses us when we are making a difference. And you've made a difference by stepping out of the circle and going, okay, enough of this bullshit. Something's going to change. Yeah.
Breaking the cycle. It's not our fault what's happened to us, but it is our responsibility what we're going to do with this. And Chanel, I'm really interested to know what sort of benefits your daughter is getting from you healing yourself, healing your past. I'm sure she is the most loved child in the world now.
She definitely is, and something that she actually told me just last week was she's telling me about an experience she had. She was super scared at night, and she said she didn't want to get out of bed because she was so scared she didn't want to come get me. But then she said, but I know, Mom, that you'll always protect me. And I was like, yes, I'm doing something to, to let her know that she can come to me for anything and that I will always be there for her no matter what. And I think that that's priceless for any child to know that a parent or someone will protect them.
And you know kids won't lie, so it really means when they say
Yeah.
that, you're like, yes.
Yeah. It's the best.
We here, I don't know if they have them in other states, but we have this motorcycle gang type group here in Salt Lake City. And it's not like a Hell's Angel or anything like that. They call themselves BACA, B-A-C-A, and it's Bikers Against Child Abuse. And what I really like about these guys, so a lot of times, you know, these kids who have been suffering like the way what you have gone through in your life, and other kids who have been, you know, abused, they have to go through courts, and their parents aren't there to support them when they go through the courts, because their parents are the ones that's put the abuse on them. Bikers Against Child Abuse, these big burly biker type dudes go into court, and they're there with these kids to fight their battles, help them fight their battles for them. And I think it's so cool that because a lot of times, you know, a lot of the bikers get the bad rap because of, you know, the Hells Angels, and there's a bunch of other ones that I've seen on the documentaries and that's used for bad. But it's so cool to see that these guys step up, and they're there. And these are guys too that probably haven't lived a good life themselves, you know, that they are there for these kids, to where when the system is bucking them around because they don't know any better, these people are here to say, you know what, I call bullshit on what you just said. That's not how it's going to be. And I think we really need even more of that in society, you know, to help these kids, because even as adults, we need someone by our side, right? We have to have support coming from somewhere, whether, like you said, it's from our spouse or whether it's from somebody else, but we have to have that support. And at a young age, when you're brought up around it all the time, we don't know any better. How, you know, we just think this is how it is for everyone, you know, but
We don't know any
yeah,
better.
you don't know any better.
They do such an amazing job, because I remember myself at 15 when it happened, telling my friend, but then it was so scary to say anyone else, and we didn't have any support. And if I would have at least one person who would show me that there is a way, you can do something. If we would have those bikers in our city where I would know I can go and talk to, seriously, the whole situation would be much different. I would open up, and I would tell what was happening to me. And probably the perpetrator would be prosecuted, you know.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be happening. And I really want to show girls that there is a way. There is someone, always someone who will support you. Always. You just go and look for him. And I can tell you, it's terrifying to go even and look for someone. You don't know, you're completely lost. And you get into your shame, yourself, because that's what is getting us, shame. That's what is standing on our way, is shame. It's my fault. It's my fault. And most of the time, those girls have been conditioned. It's my fault.
Yeah.
It's a condition.
And the abuser teaches them that they can't trust anybody.
Yep.
Oh, yes. You can't trust anybody. No one gonna listen to you. No one gonna believe you. And my father was a biker, by the way. And we didn't know this. We just found out he was literally thrown out of the bikers club. I'm not too sure what he did, but he did something really terrible. So,
Wow.
So can I ask, Anna, whatever did happen with your stepfather? Because it sounds like Mama Bear went after him, and
And you did.
you did he end up paying for what he did to you and your brother?
I'm glad you asked. Not the charges. The court didn't proceed with charges.
Oh my gosh.
We found out that it was a statute of limitation. We just fall out of statute of limitation, unfortunately. But you know what? Honestly, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because when I went to Russia and when I told my story, and when I was talking to this police guy for the very first time, I felt powerful. I reclaimed my power back. I was like, fuck, now it's your fucking turn to sit and be like afraid of coming out. And you know what my stepfather did? He left the country.
Wow.
Holy
He
cow.
left the country. They wanted to bring him on polygraph and do mental examination. He said no, he just flew the country. And unfortunately, Russian law is allowed people to say no if they don't want to. But my biggest goal is right now is to bring a huge level of awareness and education to our society about sexual abuse. Because if people would know what's happening behind the closed doors and how many kids are not telling their stories, the statute of limitation wouldn't even exist.
Yeah.
And now he is like living, I don't say happy life, but he came back when the court closed the case. He came back and he started to tell people that I'm just a druggie. I'm taking drugs, I'm out of my mind, I'm a drinker, and who knows what else. That's what's happening right now.
So he's just making excuses for his past. So now he's the one that's living in the darkness and the fear. So it's come back and bit him in the ass.
Yeah, you know what? It might sounds crazy, but I'm sending him lots of love and abundance.
Good for you.
Because during my healing process, I just decided enough. And I was able to forgive my biological father for leaving me and for not being there for me. I forgave my mom for not being able to protect myself. And I forgave my perpetrator.
Yeah.
You have to, or
for
it
what
eats
he's done to you.
It is so toxic if you don't.
Well,
But you know what's important? What's most important? What was the most toxic thing? I forgave myself.
there you go.
Wow. That's so powerful.
Good for you. That self-forgiveness opens up
It
so
was,
much relief.
It was the hardest thing, the hardest one, but it set me free. Honestly, it doesn't mean I'm not saying that what he did is okay. Not. I'm still holding him accountable, but it's for me, for myself. I released so much positive energy.
Yeah.
The whole block just is gone.
I love it. Did you have something?
I love that you point that out, because again, I think for listeners and anyone who may have experienced any type of sexual abuse or other abuse, and maybe they can't go after, or they can't voice something, or whatever the situation is, or they feel they can't, that it's most important, and the really only thing that matters is healing themselves and giving themselves their power and their voice, and doing the best that they can to live their life, because it's about our self-actualization and being able to live and be truly happy.
I love it. My gosh, this has been an awesome show. I mean, it really has. Anna, for you to come out and share this story, and just to step in to a new world of what you are doing to help other women get through, you know, their trial times, and teaching them also how to have self-love for themselves. I mean, I think it's so incredible, and we've talked about this many times on some other shows that, you know, sometimes God puts us through certain trials and tribulations for a reason. And if we go back and connect the dots, it's because we're meant to be right here, exactly where we're meant to be, right at this moment. And unfortunately, sometimes those things that we go through is very damaging and very hurtful and painful and can cause a ton of scars. But doing what you've done, where you have forgiven for you and you love yourself for you, is so healing and rewarding. Because maybe if you hadn't gone through the experiences, or I haven't gone through the experiences I've gone through, or Janessa or Chanel, maybe we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now by helping other people. You know, I mean, we may not be the ones, but we had to go through what we've gone through to do that, so we could step into a different realm and let other people know, man, it's okay. So thank you so much with what you're doing.
Al, and thank you so much for providing this opportunity to share my message with your audience. And I want to add something. I wanted to tell those girls, women, and boys and men that this is not your fault. It's not your fault. You were just a child. You were conditioned to do this. And self-forgiveness is very important. Once you self-forgive yourself, the whole new world will open up for you. I went through this. I faced my deepest, darkest, and I'm so glad I did it.
You know, you just said something that I was going to ask you if there's anything else you can share, and you just did it. I mean, mic drop. I mean, that was awesome. Yeah, that was great. Anna, I know you have a podcast called the Trauma Recovery Podcast, is that right?
It's called World's Best Trauma Recovery Podcast.
Right. Let people know how they can find you, so they can come on and start listening to your episodes.
Sure. So my episodes on main podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can also follow me on Facebook. It's Anna.Maydonova, or on Instagram at Anna Maydonova. And my website is coming out soon.
Okay.
Yay. And we also organizing a first masterclass with my co-host, Lindsay Gilman, where we're gonna show women how to turn your trauma into your superpower.
Ooh,
love it.
I like it. I like it.
That's really cool.
There's some people, while you were talking, and I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but I'm going to send you an email or a text. Well, I don't have your phone number, so I'll send you an email or a message on Messenger. But there is a gal that you may be interested in chatting with and having on your show, and her name's Brianne Davis. She's a Hollywood movie star. She was actually on our show, and she has a book called The Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addiction.
I've read this book.
Have you read the book? Yeah. So, you can find her on Instagram under Brianne Davis, and that's how I found her. I just reached out and said, hey, this is a long shot, but would you be willing to be on our show? We talk about all types of addictions, and she responded to me really quickly and said, yeah, I'd love to be on your show. So, that may be a great one for you.
Thank you. I'll appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, this was great. I mean, this really was. It was great to have all of you with us, and I usually don't say this over the air, but when we get off the air, go give that fiance of yours a hug from me, okay? and give him a slap on the rear and tell him nice game, because I really love what this guy's doing. Just fun. And I love what both of you guys are doing. I was really hoping that we would have been able to make it down to the Ultimate Coach thing that was down there in Arizona. We just couldn't make it happen, and I guess it was meant to be, because I ended up going to Arizona anyway, but it wasn't for a fun trip. But Anna, my dear, I mean, God bless you and everything that you are doing. Greatly appreciate it, and I'm glad the world and so many women have you right now doing what you're doing, that they got somebody in their corner. And
thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah,
really, it's very empowering, and it's so powerful, and I know you're helping so many. I love it. It's very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, Janessa. Thank you so much.
Chanel, you got anything to say before we sign off?
You're a superhero. Thank you so much for sharing your story and just very empowering. Yes, you are the world's best. What's it called?
Optimization
Life
coach.
optimization
Yep,
coach.
life optimization coach.
Yeah.
Amen.
Love it.
So guys, follow Anna. I mean,
Yeah.
reach out to her, find her on Facebook. I know she'll let everybody know once her website's up and going. Find her on Instagram, because I'm sure somebody out there needs some help and needs support. And so please look for and go ahead and subscribe. Find her podcast and subscribe, because it helps all of us. When our listeners go out there and they find our podcast and they subscribe to all our platforms, just not on YouTube. We push YouTube a lot, but on the Podbeam and Spotify and all that, subscribe. It really helps build our audience, and we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So guys, thank you again. Ladies, appreciate you. Thank you for taking time out of your day. And we are going to leave you with this, as we do at the end of every show. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing. Recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.
Good morning, this is Leticia with Computer Hospital. We are your computer repair experts for both PC and Mac. We are your community resource for all of your computer repair needs. What makes us different is that we want to fix your computer. We also do free diagnostics. We charge a flat rate labor, which means that you won't pay by the hour. All of our computer repair is done in-house with a fast turnaround time, and same-day service is also available. Feel free to stop by anytime without an appointment. We're located in Sandy at 8721 South State Street. Again, that's 8721 South State Street. Or call us at 801-987-3993. Again, that's 801-987-3993. This is Leticia with Computer Hospital, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hello there, this is Brad Neufeld with the Resilience Talk Network, and I would like to introduce to you Taffytown, one of our newest sponsors. Let me introduce you to Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek from Taffytown. We're proud sponsors of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Taffytown is a family-owned and operated business still operating in the Salt Lake City area for over 100 years. We manufacture some of America's best saltwater taffy.
What makes Taffytown stand out from all of the others?
We have a unique recipe, a whipped-style recipe that incorporates egg whites, evaporated milk, real sea salt. It's a unique product that is flavorful, melts in your mouth, and the best part is we probably have a flavor for anyone's liking, a flavor for any reason, for any season. We have unique flavors like chicken and waffles, maple bacon, frosted cupcake. New this year was a pineapple ghost pepper flavor.
That's awesome. Where can people find out more about Taffytown and all of its products?
You can check all of this stuff out. All of our products are available for sale on taffytown.com. We ship for free from our website, so all of our pricing on there is shipping included. Oftentimes we offer special promotions and discounts to our loyal customers, so do be sure to sign up for an account, and we look forward to seeing what we can do to make you smile with our taffy.
Where are you located?
We are currently located at 9813 South Prosperity Road in West Jordan, Utah, just at the foothills of the Copper Canyon Mine.
Derek, taffy has always been a great gift to give. What are some of the creative ways Taffytown can help say thank you to others?
Yeah, if you're looking for gift ideas, whether to say thank you to friends or family, or maybe to your clients after such a difficult or successful year that you've had, you could look no further than to get a gift idea from taffytown.com. We offer pre-packaged gift boxes that say that it's saltwater taffy from the city of the Great Salt Lake, and it tells a little bit about the history of our community and making candy for so long. You can also do customized gifts to pick out just the right flavors or colors of candy for that special someone, and deliver even a personalized message in that box to them. So please feel free to check out taffytown.com for any gift ideas this season.
Thank you so much, Derek. Please visit taffytown.com, that's taffytown.com, to find out more about the products and services that Taffytown offers. You won't be disappointed.
Do you know someone who's gambling with death due to an addiction? Do you know someone whose life is being turned upside down due to a loved one that's battling with addiction? Hi, I'm Al Richards. I am the host of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. I started the podcast due to my wife's battle with alcohol. Let's just say I became addicted to her addiction. Our podcast is helping people understand a little more about those who have battled addiction and those who are hurting from their addiction. Through raw vulnerability, we share stories that help uncover the root causes of addiction. Shame felt on both sides, matter of the conscious and subconscious mind, continued beliefs, and often confusing paths of recovery. We collaborate with real people and their stories, as well as licensed professionals, to help our audience gain a better understanding of addiction. You can find us on Resilience Talk Network. You can also find us on Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. That's Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look up the Other Side of Addiction podcast.